All right, everybody, shalom and welcome to the Yishai Fleischer Show, broadcasting live from Judea to the world, and you're a part of it wherever you are. Shalom and welcome to the Holy Land. Welcome to the good land, where we're fighting the fight for a continuous Jewish presence in this good land, returning to our identity, returning to our peoplehood, returning to our land, returning to our language. It's an incredible moment in time. And of course, there's tremendous forces arraigned against us at this time. The further along we get to our goals, to our purpose, to the meaning, the more the enemies stand up against us. And at the same time, on the one hand, the enemies seem large. On the other hand, the enemies have also been shrinking. They've been shrinking. When I was a kid, we had, the fear of Syria was scary. Now Syria is not so scary. Egypt was scary. Now Egypt is not so scary. Doesn't mean that they're not dangerous. It just means that our enemies have shrunken and Israel has grown. When I was born, there was 3 million Jews in the land of Israel. And today there are 7 million Jews in the land of Israel. When I was born, the economy was poor. Okay. Today, the economy is at $500 billion GDP, yearly GDP. So the state of Israel is moving ahead. Our language and our peoplehood and our mission and our relationship to our history and our trajectory is and our internal feeling is moving ahead. Although it is at the same time very challenged. It's very challenged around the world, and Jews around the world are not feeling so great. One of the reasons that Jews are not feeling so great is because of the challenges that we're facing in Gaza. One of the people that understands exactly what's happening in Gaza better than anybody else is Brigadier General Amir Avivi. He's the chairman of the IDSF, which is the Israel Defense and Security Forum. In Hebrew, we call them the Bitchonistim, a group of over 35,000 reserve soldiers and officers. And during his service, he held very important senior roles in the IDF. Now he's leading this movement to try to make our IDF not just militarily strong, but also strong in a sense of identity and a sense of purpose and a sense of vision of where this country is going. Brigadier General Amir Avivi, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Always happy to talk with you.
Okay, so I got a news blast this morning that said that we had a big night in Syria. Israel carried out an airborne landing overnight on a former Iranian air base near Damascus. So this is a operation that came in waves of strikes around the Syrian capital. Syrian forces found Israeli monitoring gear near Mount Al-Manea, and they tried to handle it. Israeli jets and drones struck hard, destroying vehicles and eliminating 8 operatives. Sana news agency reports. So there's a lot going on right now in Syria. Moreover, according to UK-based Syrian Observation for Human Rights, 4 Israeli helicopters flew low over Al-Kiswa, dropped troops, and searched the area. 15 Israeli strikes took place across Rif Dimashq. Anyway, my point is that there's a lot of news out there, not in the official channels, but in unofficial channels, saying that we're striking hard in Syria. So I wanted to ask you, first thing, I thought we had some kind of like normalization thing going on with Syria, even though its leaders are jihadists. What's really going on there?
So I think the situation is really peculiar because this regime that is based on ideology of ISIS, of Al Qaeda, very extreme kind of ideology. The regime itself, backed up by Turkey, is controlling maybe 30% of Syria. The other parts of Syria are Kurds, are Druze, are Alawis. Syria is not really a state, it has broken to pieces, much like it was, during the First World War. You know that when the French took over this area for the first time, they built 5 states. They understood that this is not really one state. So there was the state of Sweda, the state of the Druze at the time. And there was the area of the Kurds and the Alawis and so on. And now the world is behaving as if Syria is something unified, and also as if this regime is, the kind of people you can talk to. So Israel, with the pressure of the US, is trying to reach some security arrangement, but we have to be very, very careful. We shouldn't retreat. We have to, protect the Druze and create a Druze autonomy that will give us the buffer zone we need to secure the Israeli Golan Heights. The Prime Minister said, we know who we're dealing with. And if we know that, we have to be very careful what kind of agreement we do with them.
With the Druze or with what?
No, with the Julani
With the Syrians.
regime, with the Syrians.
Right. You said something now that the Druze have wanted us to take security control around their area. And you're saying, and I've said similarly, that Israel should allow for a Druze autonomy, a Druze state, help create a Druze state like they wanted to create in the 30s, and then have confederation and protect that area, help that area be defended. But it seems like go ahead. What were you saying? Go ahead.
I think that's exactly what we need to do. Instead of investing a lot of forces inside Syria, we need to equip them. We need to partner with the Druze. And by doing that, we can create a serious buffer zone all the way to Damascus. I don't think it's Israel's interest to see Syria unified again, and I don't think it's realistic to think that it will happen, because every single ethnic group in Syria knows that what this regime wants to do is complete ethnic cleansing of all the other groups. Right. There is no scenario where they're going to agree, for Julani forces to control the other areas in a way that will endanger them existentially.
I was having breakfast this morning with some tourists, some pro-Israel folks from Dallas, and I was talking with them. I said to them, if there could be one thing fixed in Israel, it would fix everything else. They said to me, what is that thing? I said to them, the one thing that could fix everything was if Israel wanted to be big. If Israel felt inside that it wanted to be big. For example, when we have a big business, instead of selling it off and having an exit, that we want it to be big and buy another business. If Gaza came into our hands back, good. We want to hold on to their land because we want to be big. We want to be sovereign. We want to govern. The Druze are asking us to have a confederation with them and defend them. Great, because we want to be big. But the problem is a lot of times there's a feeling that Israel wants to be small. It has what I call a certain kind of ghetto mentality. It kind of returns to a small place. It doesn't want to be big. It doesn't want to govern. It doesn't want to rule. Average Israelis will tell you, we don't want to rule other people. We don't want to rule other people. So I'm asking you, here's the opportunity. Comes the Druze. They say, protect us and give us some arms, train us, and have a confederation. Give us our autonomy. And we balk. We balk at that. So I want to ask you about that. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with my assessment? And is there a fixing of it? And is this a symptom of it?
I think that when you are connected to your Jewish values and to Zionism, you are part of something big. Of course, you want to be big. You need to be connected to our core values. When you understand what being the people of Israel is all about, and what is the land of Israel, you feel big and you want to be big. I think that people that want to be small are people that have distanced themselves from our core values. I can tell you that at the beginning of the state of Israel, or even before 1948, when we were really, really small, people were thinking really, really big. Why? They were deeply, deeply connected to their values. It's all about that. It's all about really the connection. And then with that comes this kind of thinking, Yishai, you are talking about.
So, but when it comes to Gaza right now, first thing, we were surprised to hear that after 2 years of fighting, now Israel wants to go into central Gaza, into Gaza City. For the average person listening, it was like, what? You haven't attacked Gaza City previously? So help me understand, as like an average person out there hearing that for the first time, being like, Gaza is about 400 square kilometers long, big. And
Even less.
And you haven't gone into the main city, which is called Gaza City. You know, it's the main thing. Like, what's that about? What's that? Where's the bigness there?
So actually we did. That's the first place we went to at the beginning of the war. We attacked Gaza City with two divisions. But we have to remember, we started the war dealing with 7 different fronts, with a reality that we were lacking munitions, not enough forces. We had to keep the forces fresh to fight the war in Lebanon. You know, at a certain stage, we moved all the center of gravity from Gaza to Lebanon, and we had to shift the whole army. We left very few forces in the Gaza Strip and shifted the whole center of gravity to the north. So actually, we are now the first time really focused on Gaza. We went to the north, then we went to Syria, then we had to deal with Iran. And at this stage, we are controlling 75% of the Gaza Strip. We have conquered it completely and also cleaned out 75%. And now there are two remaining strongholds. One is the city of Gaza, and the other one is the Deir el-Balach, the central camps. The last two strongholds, the main one is Gaza City, and it's obvious that taking the army and going into these strongholds will bring the collapse of Hamas and will bring victory in this war. And the way to bring back the hostages is to win against Hamas, is to destroy them, bring them to total, surrender, unconditional surrender, which will enable us also to get back the hostages.
And that's coming up soon. There's this call up for the beginning of September, a massive call up. Basically, everybody's being called up. Sometimes I wonder, why do we have to announce that? I would have done it more quietly, right? But tell me about this. Is this attack coming, and is this call up, going to be that, or is this just a way to put verbal pressure or political pressure on Hamas to come to some kind of deal? But in fact, there's not going to be an attack. Is there? Is there not? Or should we not even talk about these things?
So, look, just before we attacked in Iran, and as we were taking over the 75% of the Gaza Strip, the assumption in the government and also in the defense establishment was that defeating Iran and conquering 75% of the Gaza Strip will set the terms for a partial hostage deal. And the Prime Minister of Israel really wanted this partial hostage deal at the time. He believed that if we manage to take out half of the remaining hostages, it will make it much easier afterwards to maneuver and go all in. The army was sharing the same ideas, but we defeated Iran, we took over 75% of Gaza, and the hostage deal didn't happen. The terms were not met, and this is for many reasons. It's because of the international campaign accusing us of starving the Gazans, which made Hamas feel, that maybe this international pressure will stop the war. It's because there was a crisis in the government. The ultra-Orthodox left the government because of the draft. And then again, Hamas thought, okay, maybe Israel is going to elections. Let's wait. Let's not release hostages. It's also because decision-making in Hamas is not in Gaza now. It's in Qatar. It's these guys who are sitting in five-star hotels. They're not feeling the pressure of war. They don't care about what's going on in Gaza, and they don't want to release the hostages. So we found ourselves in a situation that the expectations were not met, and there is no half a deal or partial deal. And then when the cabinet, the prime minister had to decide what to do, he understood that at this stage, the only option that is relevant is a full takeover of the remaining strongholds of the Gaza Strip, defeating Hamas, and by doing that, releasing the hostages. I think the Prime Minister understands that he has two big problems. He doesn't have much international support left. Even President Trump wants to see a decisive win fast. Why? He wants to move to peace agreements, to normalization. He wants this war to end with a decisive win, but he wants to finish the war fast. And the world is pressuring us, talking about the situation in Gaza, and also telling the army now to retreat from all the places we took over and start all over again after the army has been fighting almost for 2 years. It's also a problem. So now we're in a different reality. If you ask me why now that Hamas maybe is agreeing to a partial deal, Israel is not, it's because the situation is not the same, it's different. And now we have only one viable path. We have to go in and destroy them, finish the job. And I think this is why we're going to see this, tens of thousands of reservists that are going to be called. They're going to replace many regular units that are going to be sent to Gaza. The army is making a lot of preparations, also logistical preparation, such as preparing the humanitarian zone for getting around 1 million Gazans that need to be moved from Gaza City South to the central camps in El Mawasi. And of course, all the preparations that the army is doing, briefing the soldiers, the commanders, and so on before we go into the operation. And I want to believe, I'm assuming that in the coming months, if the army really does what it needs to do, if the cabinet instructs them the right instructions, by the end of the year, we can have a decisive win in Gaza. It depends on us. It's a matter of really
Is that gonna fly in the face of the Trumpian request to finish this fast? What do you mean the end of the year? Do you mean the end of the Jewish year, or do you mean the secular year? What do you mean by that? You mean by January type thing?
Realistically speaking, I would say the secular year. I'm looking at both strongholds, the city of Gaza and also the central camps. Now, if we'll see a Hamas collapse faster, great. But because, we have a lot of tunnels and booby traps, and, we have to work very systematically and slowly and not to endanger the soldiers, I think it's going to take a bit of time. But, if we really finish the war by the end of the year and win decisively, release the hostages, that is going to be a great thing.
Oh, we lost him for a second. Amir, we lost you for a second. Hold on. Let's see if we can get him back. Amir?
Yeah, I can't hear you well. You're sounding funny.
Okay, I'm sounding funny. Is that a technological problem, or is this just my personality? I don't hear you. I don't see you right now. Let's see if we could get Amir to, if you can try to come back into the studio, use that same link again. That would be great. I'm going to take him out of the studio and see if we could get him back in. And this is a great time to thank our team, including Yo and David and Nathanael and Meira and the whole Yishai Fleischer TV team for being part of it. Let's see if we can get Amir back online. I had a few very important questions, but basically what he's saying is there's going to be a big attack on the central fortresses, central regions of Gaza, and that's going to take Hamas down. And he said that finally, I'm adding the word finally, but finally there's a conclusion, that a realization that the only way to win is to win. The only way to win is to win. Okay, let's see if we have Amir back in just a second. Let's see. Let's see if we get Amir back. He's trying to get back in, but he's on the road. Did we get him? Did we lose him? Oh, here we go. All right, he's on the road anyway. He's trying to get back in. We'll see if we can get him back in.
Yishai, you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you and I see you. Very good. Okay, I wanted to ask you this. So basically, I was saying, well, while you were gone now, I was saying, I guess the decision has been taken that the only way to win is to win. That's the only way to win. is to actually fully win. Okay, so I'm happy. I'm happy that we've come to that conclusion, which seems kind of seemed obvious to many of us that the only way to do it is to actually take over Gaza and control it and get rid of Hamas and not wait for their partial deals and not wait for Netanyahu was at a press conference and he said that he's going to try to find some other Arab entity to rule Gaza, to control Gaza. And it was very deflating. It was very deflating to hear him say that he basically wants to go back to Hahitnat Kut, to a disengagement idea, which is we'll take security control in the perimeter, but let some other Arab entity take over Gaza. That was very frustrating, Amir. It was very frustrating to hear that. What do you think? Is that not fair of me? Is that too utopian?
Yishai, I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you very well. Can you hear me?
I hear you good. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. Look, I know there is a lot of noise. The relationship between the chief of staff and the prime minister and Smotrich that, is against the chief of staff and the prime minister. And there's a lot of talking. And I think we really need to put all this noise aside and focus on really what's important here. And what's important here is we have defeated Hezbollah, Syria, Iran. We took over 75% of Gaza. We have two hostages, and we need to concentrate on really winning this war, being united. I don't like, all this appearance of a non-united.
Oh, lost him again. But I think he's saying some amazing things right now. So true. And sometimes we need a reset. Hey, guys, sometimes I need a reset. Very not often. But sometimes I even need a reset. And that reset is to tell you that you need to remember that we have something that we have to unify around. We have something that we need to be proud about. Let's get back to Amir here. Yeah, I was just saying that how right you are about this like moment that you have to see what the big picture is, how many successes there have been. But it's just that, Amir, we want to go all the way this time. We want to go all the way. We don't want partial victory this time. We want to finish this business off and not like allow for, bad ideas and bad policies to stick. We want to get this done. October 7th is an opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. Before the war, when we in IDSF said war is coming,
Gosh, we are having some technical
boiled in
difficulties.
a pot,
Go ahead. Say it
And
again, sir. Say it again. Say the
I
last
think
thing
the
again.
7th of October gave us a real chance to completely change our fate. It's definitely a big opportunity, and we have to win decisively. We cannot have, again, a reality where Hamas stays or they keep hostages. They need to be eradicated completely. You cannot have a reality where an entity that massacred our people this way and took hostages will remain alive. If they survive, there will be no security in Israel. All our deterrence will break, and it will endanger the whole Western civilization. It's not just about Israel. Nobody can attack us like that and survive that.
Amen. Amir, I don't see you, but I hear you great. But I want to say, I have one last question for you. Today, a piece of news was sent my way that the U.S. House of Representatives has launched an investigation into Wikipedia Foundation for advancing, quote, anti-Semitic and anti-Israel information in Wikipedia articles. My friends and I have been very concerned about Wikipedia for a long time. And it's taken the United States to launch an investigation into Wikipedia, but in truth, it's something that Israel should also be looking into. How exactly are our enemies using sources of information from TikTok to Wikipedia to besmirch our name and to undermine our narrative? That is part of the war. You are a general that fights kinetic wars, right? You fight physical wars on the ground. But you, as a student of history and a student of war, you know that war is also fought in information and in propaganda. So I wanted to ask you about this war against us through Wikipedia and the U.S. House of Representatives finally challenging what's going out there in Wikipedia. Did you hear any of my question? Okay, we're having let's see if we can get Amir Avivi back here. Oh, Amir, did you hear my question?
No,
that's okay.
Bad line. Very hard.
Nope, no problem. I basically said very simply that the U.S. House of Representatives is now launching an investigation against Wikipedia because Wikipedia is full of anti-Israelism. And so is things like TikTok. And I said, you are a general of a kinetic war on the ground, tanks and jets and infantry and submarines. But there's also another kind of war, which is part of war, the information war, the propaganda war. And finally, it's starting to come out, how much of a it's not mikre. It's not happenstance. It's a organized and systematic war against us. And I wanted to get your opinion about that war, the war of information, what I call the narrative war. In the meantime, my friends, I'm going to have some good tea here in the land of Israel. Look at people writing to me, folks. People are writing, I donated so much to Wikipedia before 2020. We have Jess Bracken says, all three of my kids want to join the IDF. And we have a lot of people saying hi from different countries. And Kaz Dave says, I'm still trying to figure out how to post an Israeli flag in chat. I hope you are successful soon. Amir Avivi, can you hear us?
Yeah, I must tell you that I'm dealing even, my own Wikipedia. You see how people use it for, campaigns and try to change things. It's very problematic. I mean, this information war is it's a big challenge. A big challenge.
It's a big challenge, and we, as you said, we were hit last week, the last few weeks with the whole starvation campaign, right? It's like we're sending them food. We have an American organization trying to get them food. We have all kinds of countries flying over and sending food. It's like they have millions of tons of food. They have more tons of food there, than any place on earth, and yet somehow we are being struck with this with these campaigns. Okay, Amir Avivi, I want to thank you. I know that you're having technical issues.
Thank you very much.
You are the chairman of the IDSF, the Israel Defense and Security Forum, and you are doing amazing work at getting us fighting and the fighting spirit as well. Thank you very much, Amir Avivi.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure, Yishai. Thanks.
All right, folks, you are watching the Yishai Fleischer TV show live from Judea. Thank you very much to Amir Avivi. Let's watch a little news together about what's been happening in the land of Israel in the last few days. Here's ILTV.
Shosh Bedrosian, and today is day 692 of the war in Gaza. Let's get into all the top headlines right now. The IDF announced this afternoon that 2 additional humanitarian aid distribution centers will be established in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. The military thanks the United States and the American Foundation for its efforts to help get the initiative up and running, which they say will be a total of 5 food distribution centers that will be operated by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Here's what the IDF International spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani said about the site. Take a listen.
We're standing here in southern Gaza where IDF has created the conditions to establish new distribution sites for aid. These are distribution sites where the people of Gaza can reach aid directly without the threat of Hamas looting them. We're just a few minutes drive from the Kerem Shalom crossing, the main point of entry for aid for Gaza, and just a few minute walking distance from the Muasi, where hundreds of thousands of Gazans are located. The people of Gaza can come to this area daily and pick up aid, hopefully millions of meals a day for the people of Gaza without the threat of Hamas looting it. This is just a part of the humanitarian effort the IDF and Israel are doing in the Gaza Strip. Airdrops, trucks going into different parts of Gaza, and distribution centers. We have said multiple times, there's no limit on the amount of aid that can go into Gaza.
And Israeli troops alongside helicopters and fighter jets reportedly raided a base overnight on a key hilltop near Damascus in Syria. According to Syrian sources, the airborne operation went on for about 2 hours and targeted Jabal Manea, which was once a major air defense base operated by Iran before being destroyed by Israel prior to the fall of Bashar al-Assad's rule. Troops from the new Syrian army are reportedly positioned at the base. Syria's official news agency reported that initial Israeli drone strikes targeted soldiers, while on patrol discovered several surveillance and eavesdropping devices. While Israel did not confirm the attack, Defense Minister Israel Katz later posted that the IDF is fighting on all fronts, day and night. That's what you see on your screen right now. And after a UN-backed report by the IPC declaring there's widespread famine in Gaza, Israel Foreign Ministry is calling it deeply flawed, that report, and is urging for a full retraction. Just this week, we reported on the restaurants that are full.
The UN's reports are not flawed. They're not flawed. There's no flaw in them. They're like, these are deeply flawed. It's not a flaw. It's not a bug. It's a feature. They're trying to besmirch us with their lies and their blood libels. Jews are starving the Palestinian children. That is a CNN, New York Times, United Nations, jihadist, progressive lie. So we just have to accept that that's what's happening here. We're dealing with folks that are trying to besmirch our good name on purpose. That is their way. That is the way that they do it. Okay. So, like it's nice. It's like they're calling us the worst names, and we say, well, you're making a mistake. No, they're not making a mistake. And the way to actually react to them is to be like, I see you for who you are, and get out. We don't want to see your kind anymore. We don't want to let you in. Not the UN. Not CNN, not the New York Times. Let's meet their lies with a spoonful of truth, which is that these people are really truly anti-Israel, and they need to get out of here, just like UNRWA has left here, just like what was their name in Hebron? In Hebron, we had that what was TIF, Temporary International Presence in Hebron. In Hebron, they're gone. These folks got to go as well. They are simply the enemy. They're no different. The UN that calls us, that tells the world that we're starving the Gazans, is no different than Hamas. They work together. Hello. They work together. They work in tandem. They hate us. You know what? It doesn't matter if they hate us or not. They're our enemies. So just accept that.
Operating in Gaza that are showcasing a variety of desserts, hot meals, and snacks that can be purchased. Edin Bartal, the Director General of Israel's Foreign Ministry, wrote a letter to the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, also known as the IPC, to retract its report until the body completes a full review of it. Bartal called the report deeply flawed, unprofessional, and gravely missing the standards expected from an international body entrusted with such a serious responsibility.
They are not flawed. There's no flaw here. It's not a flaw. It's not a mistake. It's not an oversight. It's not bad methodology. It's propaganda against you. Just discount them and tell them to go to heck and jump in a lake. These guys, they use lies it's weaponized lies. Weaponized lies. That's what it is. And that's what we should call it out. We should just be like, this is weaponized lies. You're anti-Semites. You're pro-jihad. And so that's what you're doing. We see through you. We all see you. That's what it is. When you say that it's deeply flawed, you are actually allowing a modicum of legitimacy to remain in their name, which their name should be sullied instead of ours.
Now, after the letter was penned, a UN Security Council discussed the report with the acting U.S. ambassador to the UN, questioning the report's credibility and integrity after 14 council members called for an immediate and permanent ceasefire. Take a listen.
Unfortunately, the recent report from the IPC doesn't pass the test on either. We will also take this occasion to reject the falsehood that there is a policy of starvation in Gaza. Since the beginning of the war in Gaza, Israel has enabled an unprecedented amount of more than 2 million tons of aid to flow into the Gaza Strip. We are working closely with the government of Israel to increase the flow of aid without benefiting Hamas and are seeing tangible results. Instead of echoing false narratives which only embolden Hamas, prolong the war, and hurt civilians in Gaza, we urge the UN and the rest of this council to join us in working constructively to deliver aid to civilians that doesn't benefit Hamas.
And we are...
I personally find this kind of stuff where we're, telling the UN that they could be more constructive to be non-constructive. It's not constructive. I think we should, I would love to see, I think that Trump has done a lot already, but I would love to see him just defund the UN. Just walk away from these things. Aren't we aren't we tired of these things? Haven't we had enough of them? They're just fake. It's fake. It's fake stuff. It's fake stuff. It's dealing with people who they want to see starvation. They want to see Arabs controlled by Hamas. They don't have an offer for a better world. They want to see the shrinking and destruction of Israel. And I just think it's healthy to start calling them out without having to, go nuclear. But you do have to call them out. You have to say the truth out there. And their whole thing, the UN type folks, is that they dress themselves in the veneer of legitimacy. That's their whole thing. And they use the university degrees, the same universities that are part of the same program. They are legitimate delegitimizers. And we have to delegitimize the delegitimizers and call them out to be what they are, which is not legitimate, if you follow that. All right, let's finish up this news report from ILTV.
That doesn't benefit Hamas.
And we are learning right now that Israel is possibly attacking the capital of Yemen, where the Houthi-based terror group is located in Sana'a. We're tracking all of the latest updates on that as they continue to come in real time. But those are reports coming out of Yemen at this point in time, after the Houthis continue to attack the state of Israel over and over again with ballistic missiles and drones. That's a wrap here on ILTV on the Hour. Thanks so much for joining us, and see you soon.
Okay, thank you very much, ILTV, for that news update. Okay, we have a few minutes until our next interview, so let's have some fun and play some fun videos that are making a difference out there in the world and are touching people's lives. Let's see. Well, you want to see what Gazan food really looks like? Let's take a look here.
בימים שבהם המשבר ההומניטרי ומראות ההרס והחורבן מרצועת עזה מכים גלים ברחבי העולם, בשטח מתברר שיש עדיין עסקים שממשיכים לפעול כרגיל.
جماعة كلكم هتستغربوا من الحلقة، طبعا هذا أثقل حلق موجود في قطاع غزة.
פה למשל תכשיטי שדי ספי, שהעביר את חנותו מח'אן יונס למרחב ההומניטרי במוואסי במהלך המלחמה.
خليكم معنا اليوم عشان اليوم حيكون يوم كله نوتيلا.
וכאן מסעדת השף חמדה בשכונת רימל בעיר עזה, שבימים אלה מאוימת בתמרון קרקעי מחודש של צה"ל.
احنا في منطقة الآمنة عادي عادي ما في مشكلة عادي بس يعني صعب يعني كلنا خايفين وحاطين يعني في خوف لا بيجوا يبيعوا مش بيشتريوا ناس هون قاعدة بتبيع علشان تاكل.
אחד מבעלי חנויות התכשיטים שפועלות ברצועה שוחח איתנו בעילום שם וניסה להסביר שגם אם העסק פתוח זה לא אומר בהכרח שמצבו טוב.
عموما احنا هون المربح بسيط جدا يعني دوب نربح قد اكلنا وشربنا قد مصروف اليومي والمصاريف هون غالية كتير يعني انا في اليوم انا بدي اصرف هون اغلى من اسرائيل انا اصرف 100 شيكل عشان اكل اكلات بسيطه، انا مقتدر يعني معي شويه فلوس، لكن الناس هون والامور صعبه جدا على الناس، بيبيعوا حلق الاطفال.
אז איפה עוד אפשר למצוא חנויות כאלה? בשכונת היוקרה רימל ובשכונות נוספות בעיר עזה, כמו שייח' רדואן, וגם במרחב ההומניטרי אל-מוואסי בדרום הרצועה, פועלים כמה עסקים מאולתרים. במסעדה של חמדה לדוגמה אפשר למצוא מבחר תבשילים, פיצות, ופל בלגי ואפילו שייק נוטלה ב-60 שקלים. המסעדה נסגרה במהלך המלחמה כמה פעמים, אך חזרה לפעילות מלאה לאחרונה, כולל בתקופה שבה קמפיין הרעב של חמאס הודהד ברחבי העולם.
من مطعم ومطبخ شيف حمادة رجعنا لكم من جديد وشكرا لكل حدا شاف كل ستوري امبارح دعمنا.
ובחזרה לתכשיטי שדי ספי במוואסי בח'אן יונס, שם ממשיכים למכור תכשיטים לזוגות שמתארסים ברחבי הרצועה. כן, זה ממשיך לקרות גם בזמן המלחמה.
جماعة الخير شرفونا الناس من بلجيكا. هذول دخلوا المحابس كيف؟ تتلو محبس من الموديل الجديد. ألف مبارك يا عمي.
התכשיטים של שדי עשויים זהב ומחיריהם נעים בין כמה מאות שקלים לעשרות אלפי שקלים, כדי להתאים לזוגות שתקציבם דל בעקבות המלחמה וגם לתושבים העמידים יותר ברצועה. כמובן שעולה השאלה, מי הם התושבים שמעניקים פרנסה לבעלי אותם עסקים בימים שבהם אנחנו שומעים בעיקר על המשבר הכלכלי, על העוני ועל הרעב בעזה. בעל חנות התכשיטים ששוחחנו איתו מספר לנו שאלה שמסוגלים להרשות לעצמם לקנות שייקים מנוטלה וטבעות מזהב הם בעיקר העשירון העליון.
هذه شغلات نادرة شوي يعني نسبة 10% اللي بيجوا بيشتروا واشياء خفيف خالص يعني 500 شيكل 1000 شيكل بس كثير يعني بيبيعوا في الذهب علشان ياكلوا يشتروا اكل وهذا فمعظم الناس او كثير من الناس بتيجي تبيع مش تشتري. زبون المواطن بيجي يبيع الخاتم انا اضبطه وببيعه للمواطن الثاني وهكذا.
התכשיטן מספר לנו שאף שהעסק שלו ממשיך לפעול כרגיל בימים אלה, הוא עצמו לא רואה עתיד ברצועת עזה.
بجهز نفسي للخروج من البلد.
لوين؟
خروج.
Kharouj, that's the important part here. The important part is that so many people want to leave the Gaza Strip. And that's what he says here. He's like, I want to leave. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of this place. And that is something that Israel and the world should provide, which is an opportunity to get out.
افتحوا المعابر.
بس يقولوا يفتح المعابر 90% من المواطنين طالعين 90 وتذكري كلام.
حماس راح يرجع برايك؟
لا ما إلهم وجود اصلا. هذه شكليات انت بتشوفها على التلفزيون انه احنا موجودين هم مش موجودين اصلا.
بس اغلب الناس بغزة برايك بيدعموهم؟
لا ولا يمكن يابا لا تسمعي كل شوي بنقول حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل كل شوي بنقول حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل فيه هم السبب.
Okay, so you know, and here I have different friends who say different things. Some say the Gazans are all Hamas. So many Gazans took part in the October 7th attacks. So many Gazan civilians took place in the October 7th attacks. We haven't gotten any credible information about the hostages from Gazan civilians. And so many of my friends say, listen, they are jihadists. Every house has got an Al-Aqsa mosque in it, picture of it, and other jihadist stuff and martyrs and all that. So people, my friends who are soldiers say to me, listen, the Gazans are pro-Hamas, they're Hamas. But this Arab speaking with a news outlet says, yeah, there's no pro-Hamas left. Everybody's against them. We say, may Allah hold them accountable. What's the truth? I don't know. I really just don't know what the truth is. I'm guessing that the truth is somewhere in the middle, where part of the community, sees, part of them are still jihadists, and part of them see that jihad will never win, and it's not going to win in Gaza, and therefore they're changing their mind about it. That could be the other side of it. Maybe there's really two sides to it. But one thing is for sure, all my friends agree that the majority of Gazans want to leave. Okay, so I got a friends that say they have to be exiled, and the whole thing has to start over. And others people say they've got to be let go so that they can find a life. So basically, it comes from different perspectives, but both are that so many Gazans and Gazans themselves, as you could see, say, we want to leave.
לדבריו, החיים כיום תחת השלטון המעורער של חמאס הפכו לסוג של מערב פרוע. ביזת הסיוע על ידי הארגון היא לאו דווקא הבעיה הכי קשה של העזתים, אלא בעיקר הפשיעה הגואה והמציאות שבה כל אחד אדון לעצמו.
ولد ما حد بيعرف حاكم العائلات كل واحد له عيله الان وبقول لك انا الحكومه
ولا
كل واحد كبير المافيات الان لقيتهم الحكام اللي بيسربوا المصاري يعني فوضى وبلبله في هذا البلد الان هم اللي حاكمين كل واحد زعيم الان كل واحد حامل سكينته على جنبه انا احب البيت.
Okay, so crime families or clans, they're now in control in Gaza. It's no longer a unified place. It's much more, which strong men can control which area.
أنا ممكن أنا أخبط داري أخبط الناس اللي في الخيمة ممكن يعني مش أنا يعني شخصيا الحمد لله رب العالمين بلناش فيه قصص لكن الناس صارت كل واحد يهاجم الثاني.
ולמרות הדברים הקשים שבעל העסק העזתי מתאר לנו, עצם המשך הפעילות של המסעדות והחנויות ברצועה והעובדה שיש לכך ביקוש, יכול להעיד שהמשבר ההומניטרי בעזה לא משפיע על כל חלקי האוכלוסייה בצורה שווה.
شفت الشاورما اليوم عملنا صنف شاورما ايوه.
גם בקרב העזתים יש עוד תושבים בעלי ממון שלא עזבו את בתיהם במהלך המלחמה. לחלקם יש גם משפחה בחול שמסייעת להם כלכלית, וזה מאפשר להם יותר מאשר לאחרים, ובשבילם מותרות הן לא מילה גסה.
Okay, so Gaza is not the narrative that we're being told around the world. It's definitely more complex than a single narrative, that's for sure. And there is wealth in Gaza, and they're still on very Gazans, and the kids aren't all starving, and there's efforts to feed them. So, okay, we know about that. Let's be real. There's definitely an effort to feed Gazans. There is wealth in Gaza, but there's not enough effort to help them leave, which would be good because they could get a new life, and we could destroy the Hamas, and we could clean up that broken place. Oh, Hashem, please help us already come to a complete consciousness and not a divided consciousness. Let's pray for that kind of way of thinking. Let's see if we could get, we have a few minutes here. You know what? No, what else? I don't know. All right, let's see what else we have here. Here's what, by the way, Gaza looks like underground as found by the IDF this week. Take a look at this. Okay, I think it's silent video, but you could see there's the toilet. And basically, this is some of the tunnels that were found in central Gaza this week. And, well, you could see that it is pretty built up. And they have really created a whole world underground there. And this has two goals. One goal is to fight, and the other goal is to survive, and the other goal is to hold hostages. So that's what's going on underneath there. Look at all that creativity. Look at all this creativity. Look at all this ability. Look at all this money spent to build these underground tunnels. Imagine if it was spent for creativity and not destruction. And that's the problem with jihadism. It's an element of destruction in there. Let's see. We have some people who comment on this stuff. Here's, by the way, a power outage when Iranian officials are speaking and giving a press conference. This is what it looks like. Oh. All right. So he also went into darkness there. And that's what's happening in Iran, where they are losing electricity. There's power outages all the time there. What do we have here? Hold on one second. What are we saying? How do they leave if nobody wants them in their countries? Yes, it would be ideal for them to leave, but where to? But wait, can we put that question back up, please? But Heather, The French have said that they would take refugees. So get them on a boat. And the Australians have said that they would take refugees, and the Spanish as well, and the Irish. And so there's tons of so-called Palestinians in Chile. What you got to do is get the boat open, and maybe you should also force the Egyptians to take them. Yes, force them. There are ways to do it. You have to just be willing to do it. You have to be willing to send the folks out. And you know what? Imagine if we pulled like a St. Louis ship on them. Imagine if we put 2,000 Arabs, so-called Palestinians, on a ship, and they would just go from port to port and nobody would accept them. Wouldn't the story shift to the world? I want to do that. Let's make it like this. Israel will send a boat, a nice boat. It'll pick up refugees in Gaza and start taking them to France, to Egypt, to other harbors, right? Physical harbors of the Mediterranean. And let's see which country rejects them. And let's take video cameras and make it into a nice video showing the rejection. Let's see them rejected in Egypt or in North Africa, Morocco, Algiers, Libya, Europe, Greece, Italy, France, Spain. Let's see them reject them, okay? And then let's make that into a story. Let's show, how the world is interested in rejecting these Arabs and get rejecting their opportunity to have a better life. And you saw in that interview, the most important part of that interview was that this Arab person says, I want to get out, even though he has a store there, even though he has a restaurant or a jewelry store. He says, there's no future here in Gaza. Give me a future. We've shown many videos of Gazans saying, I want out. I don't know if they're angels or they're jihadists. I just don't know. But I know that they want out. And I know that in every other conflict, in every other war, there are refugees. And this issue of refugees is one of there's two issues that are sick issues that are being hidden from all of us. Two issues that if we would only tell the truth about them, the whole world, you know what? Now I'll make it into three issues. Three issues that if we could just tell the truth, here's the three issues. The first issue is that Qatar and Egypt are enemies of Israel, and they should be fought in this war. Qatar is the backer and the sponsor of Hamas. They hold their leadership there. They do not negotiate in good stead, and they're not an honest broker. They're an enemy, and certainly the Hamas in Qatar should be attacked. But let's be real, right? I'm asking you to be real, so I got to be real. Hamas, Qatar is part of the war against Israel. Egypt has a one-way door. The tunnels lead arms into Gaza and never lead people out. They block Gazans from leaving into Egypt, the neighboring Arab country with a big, huge, fat desert that can hold millions of people. So that's the first lie, is who's the enemies. The second lie, well, let's see. What was that second lie? The first lie is who are the enemies? I forgot what the second lie was. The third lie is that the UN and CNN and New York Times are complicit. They're complicit, right? They're complicit. They're complicit, especially recently with the lie of starvation. So what do we say? So the first lie is that the Egyptians and the Qataris are part of the problem. They are combatants. And the second lie I remembered is that where's the refugees? Where's the refugees? Every other conflict has refugees. Where are the refugees? Hello? Can you please give a home to all these millions of Arabs who want to flee and have a decent life? Why do they have to be subjected to this? Give them a life. Okay, so that's the second lie, is that where's the refugees? There needs to be refugees so we can fight this war and give these people who are under fire a decent life. And number three, the big lie is that the organizations that are supposed to be dedicated to helping Arabs are the ones that want them to be injured so that they could have a narrative against Israel. The UN does not help people. It helps Hamas. It's a pro-Hamas, pro-jihad organization. We had that interview that I played the other day. They said, yeah, the UN food, the UN food supplies to the Arabs of Gaza is 100% goes to Hamas. We know that. Okay, so that's some of the lies that are out there. But what's happening to Israel's friends, the Druze? What's really happening? We talked about the fact that Israel has been attacking in Syria. We had Amir Avivi on the show talking about creating, as we talked about many weeks ago, a Druze mountain state, and then providing security for them and maybe some kind of confederation. We talked about being big. We talked about Israel being big. We talked about the fact, Amir Avivi talked about that Syria is not really a United state, and that it actually needs to be separated into its components because they're totally different ethnic groups there that just don't get along. And we talked about the fact that the Syrian leadership currently is a jihadist leadership that would love to just simply kill off and destroy minorities if they're Alawites. Not that I'm a big fan of the Alawites because of what they've done in the last many years in Syria, but I don't want to see them whole slaughtered, murdered, and certainly our allies, the Druze. What's really happening there? What's really the story? It's not so easy to know because the media doesn't care to cover it as much. It cares only to cover the badness of the Jews and not really the troubles of the Druze. We have with us Mansour Ashkar, who is a social media influencer and really a person who has become a voice for the Druze community. He's a former Israeli officer as well, and he joins us today. Mansour, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me, brother. It's always a pleasure coming here.
Okay, I know you do a lot of media out there, thank God. And yet at the same time, it's really not clear, and it's not clear to me what's happening in the Druze area. Last time we spoke, there were horrific videos showing Druze being massacred. There was that infamous hospital video of bodies strewn everywhere. There was the shaving of the mustaches. So there was a lot of that. Where do we stand today? Give me an update, please.
So we're standing today after about 14 days of ongoing massacre on the Druze mountain. October 7th style, only no IDF to stop it. So it went on for 14 days. There's about 30 Druze and Christian, mostly Druze, a few Christian villages that were completely slaughtered, burned down. Up until now, the Druze are in a siege for more than 45 days already. So we're talking about a place that is not receiving 8 trucks full of food and is being starved, and no one is talking about it, is the Druze mountain in Sweda. Only there it's been done by the terrorists who took over the government, but no one is talking about that. So the Druze are under siege. They have barely any food, any water, no supplies. They can't go out and recover the bodies from these slaughter villages around. There's more than 2,000 deaths, confirmed deaths. There's probably way more, but we're trying to be responsible with the numbers that we're giving. We're not Hamas that just throws numbers in the air. There is more than around 300 kidnapped, mostly women and little girls, but also men. And that's the one that are accounted for. The others we don't know. It might be kidnapped, might be killed, might be just rotting right now in the streets. So the situation is dire. And no one except from Israel is helping. No one. Now, I know there is some talks with the international community that is trying to
Do you think Israel's doing enough?
No, I don't think. I think Israel is doing way more than anyone, but I think someone is holding Israel's hands. And for the sake of the stability of the region, because there is people that still believe that Jawlani in Syria is a legitimate country. So they don't want Israel to get too involved in that.
You think the Trump administration is seeing it that way?
I think actually that the Saudi Arabians and the Qataris and the Turks, basically the Sunnah, are trying to push America, telling them, listen, don't let Israel get involved. They're going to make a mess out of it because they want to keep Jawlani because he's a Sunnah boy. Syria was under the Shia for a very long time, and now it went to the hand of the Sunnah. Now, people don't understand that the battle between the Sunnah and the Shia sometimes, transcends the battle that they have with the West. They hate each other sometimes more than they hate us. So for them, the prize that they got back Syria into the hands of the Sunnah is a big thing, and they don't want to lose that. And the actions of Jawlani and his ISIS Al-Qaeda government are making it very hard for them to keep the legitimacy. And if Israel now steps in and goes in Syria and saves minorities, Syrian citizens, from the hand of the government, it's going to make them look really, really bad, and they will just undoubtedly stop receiving any funds from the West. So they're trying to wish-wash the blood of the Druze and the Christians and make it look like some kind of clashes and that everything's under control, while it's far from being under control. And there is a real genocide attempt there that was stopped by Israel, no one else.
But you're saying that the genocide continues in the last 14 days.
The genocide right now is continuing in the form of starvation and economic, strikes. They don't have electricity. They barely have internet. The only internet they have is Starlink devices that they're using because the government is cutting them.
I understand that the Druze of Sweda, of the Jabal Druze, have been reaching out to Israel saying, it's at some point they said take over this area.
Oh yeah.
But at other points, maybe a different idea is, no, you guys will have your independence and we'll be confederated. We'll provide the security. Now, Mansour, my claim is that my beloved Israel suffers from a smallness problem. They don't understand that there are times to be big, and our leadership does not understand that. It doesn't understand the moment. It thinks it's a tactical moment, not a strategic moment that the time is ripe for to change the way things operate, to control the Mount Hermon, to give Druze their independence, to be bigger, and to provide more security for ourselves and more peace and liberty and prosperity for our friends. They're not thinking big right now. They're thinking tactically, like you said, like it's a skirmish. Let's help them a little this, not like a big picture thing. Okay,
Look,
that's my. Do you agree with me? Don't agree?
Your opinion is very right, and I agree with it. And I think Syria does not belong to the Muslims. Syria was a Christian nation, was in the biblical time a Jewish land. The Muslim came and conquered it and slowly started exterminating the minorities there. There's many minorities that have been extinct under the Muslim regime in Syria, and right now they're at risk. The Druze, the Alawites, the Yazidis, the Kurds, the Ismailis, and many other minorities there that are struggling to survive. The Druze are the only one that are standing tall and proud, and they're getting the most heat, but the other one has just been slaughtered, quietly. So the Druze...
And the world is not covering this issue.
No, they don't care. Now, the Druze are coming and saying, Israel, take us. We want to be your citizens. Make us part of Israel. I think Israel should go and do that. Just like you're saying, they should think big. What are you worried about? Go and take that. Help them establish, either make them your own citizens or give them temporary residency under the state of Israel. It doesn't matter. Any other option will be better than what they have right now. And then secure that area, because let's be honest, the only way that minorities can live in peace in Syria, if they have their own autonomy or if they're under Israel, not under the Sunnah. And let the Sunnah play Sunnah games. Let them stay in the center of Syria. Syria is bigger than most countries in Europe. So for some bizarre reason, somewhere back in the days, someone kind of made an arrangement and gave a group of radical Muslims a huge chunk of land. And what they've been doing with it since then is war, is killing themselves, killing each other, collapsing the economy, collapsing either by Bashar al-Assad, who was a drug dealer, like a Pablo Escobar, Arab version, or all the way to Jihadistan, which is right now run by al-Shara. Nothing good is coming out of it. And I tell you what, when we saw the October 7 images that are happening in Syria with Syrian citizens walking with beheaded heads of women and children and Druze men, carving the heart of a Druze person out of it and eating it in front of him while everybody is shouting takbir and Allahu Akbar around him, these were Syrian citizens. So we're starting to realize that Syria is a very, very bad place. There's a lot of very bad people there. Yes, there is probably good people, but they're hidden. They don't dare speaking about. Look at what's happening in Syria. In 1 week, there were stabbings, sexual assault, rapes. I would say half of them were by Syrian migrants, because when you see These people that are beheading people and carving their hearts out in Syria, you need to understand that their brothers, their cousins are in Syria, in Europe right now. And sometimes even the garbage was sent to Europe, because who left in Syria was either the ones that didn't have the means to leave, but usually it was the ones that had too much to lose. So they didn't leave. So the garbage, worse than what we saw right now, are walking in the streets of Europe. That's what we're seeing right now. So when you start understanding that, we're barely hearing there's literally an ethnic cleansing that has been happening in Syria for the last few months, and you haven't heard a single voice of Syrian people saying, stop it. This is not good. This is not. Same thing that we've seen in Gaza. We haven't heard a single voice after October 7, only way later, but that came from a victimhood place. Please, we're poor, help us, send me money, subscribe to my channel. We hear them saying that. But practically, we barely heard many Gazans during October 7 months later saying it was wrong what Hamas did, because there's a lot of people that think it was good because it's a religious thing. Same thing in Syria. They see this war as a religious war, and they see it as a call to exterminate everyone. By the way, the jihadists who went to kill the Druze, their orders were, because they're very stupid people, they're not the brightest, they're not accountants or lawyers. Their orders were, go and kill the Druze and then continue to Jerusalem. So a lot of the jihadists that were arrested by the Druze, when they were asked, what was your order? They said, we were giving orders to come and kill all of you, take everything with you, take your daughters as sex slave, and then we continue to Jerusalem to free Palestine and liberate Jerusalem. So this is the people of Syria. Now, should Israel negotiate with them? No. Should Israel give them back? No. Go and save these people, make it part of Israel, expand the state of Israel. It's going to be good for Israel. It's going to be good for the Jews. It's going to be good for the Christians. It's going to be good for the minorities. The only one who are not going to be good for them is Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
That's right. I think it's very important what you talked about, the Sunnah versus the Shia. I think it's a very important thing. I think people have to understand that Syria was controlled for a long time by a kind of Shia, not exactly, but by these Alawites. But they were also secularists. So they were everything that the Islamists didn't like. And so now that the Islamists finally got a chance, so they're like, this is a great moment. And now let's get rid of all these other kuffars, all these other, weird, funky people. Let's get rid of them. And that's really their plan. And just because they put on a suit and trimmed the beard a little bit, they didn't change who they are. But
you know what Syrians are saying, actually, and I've heard it from Muslims and Christians. I've never thought I'll hear it. And they even said, we never thought we'd say it. More and more of them are saying, we miss the times of Bashar al-Assad. Now, they all suffered terribly. Bashar al-Assad was equivalent to Hitler. He was a terrible, terrible man. But Bashar al-Assad, as terrible as he was, he didn't care what you eat, how you pray, what you dress. He didn't care less. He was just a drug dealer who was oppressing his own people and a mass murderer. But he was not getting involved in how you walk the street, what do you say, what do you do. Now this regime is making women start wearing hijabs, is making men, wear long, these dresses, is flocking, beating people in the streets that are not behaving properly, is changing the entire education system to a radical Salafi Sunni education system. They're going around destroying statues and streets of ancient history, just like ISIS did. So the Syrians, the moderates are looking at this, and the minorities are saying like, oh my God, we didn't think that it can get worse than Bashar al-Assad, and here we go. And what is Europe doing? Going and shaking his hand and sending him money. Crazy.
I was interviewed by Europeans today, by European journalists. I just said to him, you guys don't see how discredited you have become in our eyes, and how unimportant you're not relevant anymore. No. You don't see it. I said to them for 3 reasons. I said, one, because you've got some kind of obsession with the Jews. There's something going on with you, which is just you're not normal. Your attitude towards Israel is just like, it's not rational. And you can see it. It's like when a person's just not behaving right, like there's something wrong with you. I said, second thing is that you've become infiltrated by jihadism. And we can see that. We could just see that your attitudes are just nutty and self-destructive. And
it's just going to get worse.
And now you're talking about the fact that these Syrians, the bad Syrians, have entered Europe, and Europe itself is not standing up for its progressive and liberal values. Where's the liberal values? And you guys, Go ahead. Go ahead.
You know, sorry for cutting. You know what I tell my European friends when I see them here? Because they start telling me, yeah, but minorities and migrants and etc. Tell them, guys, listen, Islam is not minorities. There's 2 billion of them in the world, and most of the atrocities that are happening on the face of this earth right now are happening from Islam to other groups. The real minorities are Christians, are Druze, are Yazidis, are the Jews. So if you want to have good migration, bring them to your countries. Trust me. If you bring the Jews or the Druze or others, you're going to get educated people. You're going to get people that support, pay taxes, that assimilate with your culture. Don't try to change you. Just tell you, let us live our life as we are, and we accept you as you are. But rather, you're defending the majority who is killing the minorities. Now, I've walked to several restaurants already in Germany because I like to eat shawarma. And usually it's Syrian restaurants. And 3 times already since what happened, I've heard them speaking in Arabic. And I don't say I speak in Arabic, I just listen. And they were saying stuff like, we should slaughter all the Druze. El Shara should finish the Druze and the Christians. One of them was even saying, if I'll see the Druze here in the street, I'll stab him myself, and etc., etc. Now, these are people in Germany. Now, I'm standing there. I'm thinking, like, listening to them talking on the phone to their friends. I was even in Zurich, and I was about to grab an Uber taxi. And I just heard 2 taxi drivers talking in Arabic, and one of them said the curse word in Arabic, something about the Druze. So I came close to listen. Now I'm there with my kid, and they were saying, yeah, that Shara should finish all the Druze. And then the other one said, but you know what the problem is? That Israel knows everything, and they always stop us before we finish it. That's what he said. And then the other guy said, you know what? If I would see a Druze here, I'll put him in my trunk right now and drive him to the forest and finish him off. My Uber taxi comes. I get away from these animals and I go inside, and he's an Arab as well. Hello, hello, hello. Then he opens the window and he starts talking to these guys who are just saying the stuff about it like they're friends. So I realize now I'm in a taxi with someone who's a friend with these guys. I don't know who he is. So my kid calls me Abba. He doesn't know another word. He calls me Abba, and he likes to say shalom to random people in the street. He's 6 years old. Shalom, shalom, walks like this. So I was afraid that he's going to start calling me Abba and saying shalom in the taxi, and then I need to explain to this weirdo, where am I from, what am I doing? And he also knows which hotel I'm going to. So I looked at my kid and I said, Rafael, let's play a game. Let's see who can stay quiet for longer until we reach the hotel. If you win, I'll buy you ice cream. And he stayed quiet for 25 minutes. But just imagine, what was I thinking, feeling as a father right now, as someone living in Europe. I need to hide my identity here in Europe.
Right, but that identity, but it's not even a Jewish identity.
Yeah.
It's a Druze in Zurich.
Yeah.
Is afraid of the jihadi Arabs. My God.
Yeah,
My God.
that's what happened. Under the watch of this generation of Europe, of men and women in Europe, under their watch, and they love to call themselves liberal and, open-minded. Under their watch, Europe have become unsafe for Jews and minorities, and Druze in Europe became very safe for savages, barbarian jihadists.
The difference is, though, the difference is that today, just a few hours ago, I was at an event of new immigrants to Israel, including an immigrant from the UK, a friend of mine. And so we have a place to run to, which is relatively safe.
Israel.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a Druze, where exactly are you going to go? United States, maybe.
Yeah.
But
if you live there,
right?
If you're a Druze, you have no country to protect you unless you're a Druze from Israel or you're an American Druze.
Right.
That's the only two. If you're an American Druze citizen, America treats you as a citizen. They'll protect you. If you're an Israeli Druze, they'll protect you. But if not, you're literally floating right now in the air, and you have no home and no safety net to fall into. And that is crazy. That is crazy, man. It's very depressing for a lot of minorities here, seeing how Europe is handling the situation and basically throwing the real minorities, the real victims, under the bus.
I just want to show you a few comments. Samantha says, believe it or not, we have jihadi Arabs here in Wisconsin. I make a joke, but when I flew through Amman, I flew to Detroit first. So I was like, I flew to 2 big Arab capitals, Detroit and Amman. But look, not every Arab is jihadi, but there is a lot of jihadism out there. There is a lot of jihadism, and the Syrians were taught a lot of this jihadism. They've been brainwashed from youth, and there's religious jihadism, and to deny that is to close your eyes, look the other way, and to not see the problem. I am very disappointed, though, in what I heard from you tonight. It hurts me very much to see that jihadism is striking at our allies right now, and that we could be doing more. And I am, I am in the camp of people that thinks that Netanyahu, on the one hand, is a great man, but on the other hand, he does not seize this opportunity, and he has not seized this opportunity properly. It's unfair. We had Amir Avivi on, and he says, listen, Israel's pushed back on Iran and hurt it, and pushed back on the Syrian regime and hurt it, and pushed back on Hezbollah and pushed back in Gaza. But on the other hand, Gaza still does have Hamas. Syria still does have jihadis. Iran is still, planning to nuke us. So
look what happened yesterday. Yesterday, Israel attacked in Syria.
Yeah.
Special forces, helicopters and drones and fighter jets. Now it's very not clear what exactly was there. Was it Turkish spying kind of bunkers that were spying on Israel? Was it Israeli assets that couldn't fall to the right hand? But either way, it is clear that we have a lot of enemies still in this region, and they're trying to advance on Israel. And right now, they're just too afraid because Israel is being very strong and acting, finally, very powerful. So people are kind of afraid, okay, don't mess with Israel, but they're seizing the moment and waiting for the chance to come and attack. Now, you have a chance here with native allies that live in that land of southern Syria. Let's come and tell you, this is our land. It's not the jihad. It's not Al-Qaeda's land. Israel, come and take us. Make us part of you. We'll give you this land. We'll pay you the taxes. We'll be your citizens. Because we've seen how is the life of the Druze and the minorities in Israel. One of the craziest things that happened since this war and the fall of Bashar al-Assad, and I just started in my podcast, I started a new channel, I would call it, where I'm doing in Arabic episodes, and I'm inviting Druze from Syria and from Lebanon and from Israel, and we sit and we talk about how is the education system in Lebanon and Syria and Israel? How is the women's right, children's right, national service, paying taxes, social insurance? And you should see the look in the eyes of the Druze in Syria and in Lebanon when they start hearing Druze in Israel. Not only me, but I brought a teacher from Israel, a Druze teacher. When they start talking about the condition of life that we have in Israel, they're just shocked. They're like, what? We were told all this time that you guys are slaves, that you guys are third, fourth class citizens, that you guys are just mercenaries sending us cannon fodder. And now we're seeing that you guys have a great life. You guys have peace, respect, freedom of religion. You're safe. And it's literally, it's making, like, I made one live, and in one day it reached 20,000 views a live. I've never had a live reach that much, usually, especially not in one day. It's because so many people from the Arab world started watching and saying it's a rare opportunity where they can see real people from Israel speaking in Arabic about the life. And they're not interested to see what's happening in Lebanon and Syria. They know. They're actually getting a real glimpse now of what's happening in Israel without the government kind of filtering for them. And they're seeing the truth. And it just shocks them. It shocks them that I've received my education from the university for free in Israel, because I had a scholarship because I was a Ben Miutim, a son of a minority. So literally, the government paid for my education because they wanted to support minorities. On top of that, I was a minority who served in the army, so I got another scholarship. I made money during my time as a student because I had so many scholarships supporting me. You're a Druze, you're a minority, you served in the army, I volunteered with street kids, take more money from the government. And they were looking like, what? Here, the government steal our money. They don't give us any education. They kidnap our children. That's what's happening there. So it's making a lot of waves. And I think a lot of Arabs right now are starting to see the life in Israel and minorities and thinking like, oh my God.
That's right.
We don't want to be under the Islam.
I think that it's absolutely key in general to make more programming in Arabic. I think that Israel does not make enough programming in Arabic. I think that Israelis and people around the world don't understand what a mind control so many Arabs are under around the whole Arab world, even today. And you have to make it. If you've got that language, you've got to be able to say it. I just want to put up a comment from my dear friend, Aunt Stacy, who writes, it's hard to have an advertised pro-Israel event in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
That's crazy.
I was supposed to be at that event. Mansour, I was supposed to be at that event. And jihadis threatened to shut this event down, and the police just backed down. They said, oh, we can't do anything about it. Texas. Now, truthfully,
I never thought I'd see Texas bending a knee to Sharia like that.
Yeah, I'll tell you,
That's surprising.
it was surprising. I think actually that had there been more preparation, them there had just been 2 attacks in the United States against Jews. Remember the Washington D.C. attack and the Colorado attack, and so it was immediately after that, and so the police was just freaked out. But the fact is that we had to cancel that event. So there
I'm
you
very
go.
disappointed because, I always expected the Christians in Texas, and I know great Christians in Texas,
Sure.
that they kept saying we're never going to let it happen. Because, let's be honest, if you go to a pro-Palestine demonstration or pro-Syria demonstration or rally, people that are pro-Syria, pro-Palestine, the chances that you're going to have there people who are pure anti-Semitic, anti-Christians, and Nazi lovers, literally, people who love Hitler, I think it was right, is very, very high. I'm talking like high percentage. You're going to have more than half of them that say, yeah, we actually like what Hitler did. We want to see Israel destroyed, and we want to see the entire world fall under Sharia. So these people are undoubtedly not friends of the West, not friends of the Christian world, not friends of America. So having them feeling very comfortable to go and do these demonstrations and walk, like if you would be living in Syria right now or in Gaza and you dare to walk in the streets and just say Merry Christmas, you'll get killed. If you dare to walk in the street and say, Jesus was right, he's the only way, they will slaughter you. So you would not even dare to speak about your faith or your religion in their countries. Now they come to your countries and they feel so empowered that they come in your face and tell you, we will not allow you to have an American flag here. We will not allow you to support the Jews or the Christians here. That is how ridiculous they see the West, because they see that mentality that way. That's how Arabs think. They think if they were strong, they would not let me do what I would not let them do where I live. That's how they see it. So if they come to my land and do that, I'll kill them.
Right.
I go to their land, I can do whatever I want. I can attack their girls, take their daughters, look at the UK, and they won't do anything to me. Actually, they will protect me. So the Arab world is seeing that as a pure weakness of the West, and they're exploiting it.
Because, Mansour, before jihadism, the first thing you have to send in order to let jihadism take root, the first thing you have to send in is progressivism.
Yes.
If you send in progressivism, which means everything is equal, which means that your history is bad and you're bad and your whiteness is bad or your this is bad or whatever is bad, you're bad. And you know what else is bad? Family. Your family's bad. You don't need family. You can have these alternatives, and that's just as good, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You send in all that stuff, you undermine the defenses of society. Progressivism, you weaken all the defenses, all the masculinities, all the things that hold you to your identity, to your rights, to when you say, hey, I'm not going to accept that. Whatever makes you trigger to do that expression that I just did. Hey, I won't stand for that. Whatever makes you feel that way is what they take away. They take away words that are proper, that you could say when you get angry like that. They take all that away. Then the minute the borders are open, the family's broken, the history's dead, they send in the jihadis. And the jihadis then say, what do you mean? Like, I could say this is a free country and I have liberal values, blah, blah, blah. And they crush you with that. So that is the
shame you. If you stand against it, they shame you. You mentioned something very, very good. You mentioned the lack of masculinity that we're seeing in the Western world. Now, I had a conversation with a European colleague of mine. Well, not a colleague, just a guy that I met, and I had a talk with him. And he overheard me talking about how important it is to raise your kids to be strong. And I was saying, it's important to have your kids strong. And I say strong, I mean physically strong, mentally strong, personality strong, just strong character, robust. And he came and he said something like, I am weak and I'm fine. I'm doing just fine. All this macho talks. Now I looked at him and I said, where the only place where men can say this nonsense that you just said, that I am weak is fine, is in the Western world, because you have strong men protecting you. You will never hear someone in Syria going around boasting, I am weak and I'm just fine. You will never see someone in Africa going saying, I am weak and I'm just fine, or in Afghanistan or in Gaza, or in the Middle East even, because they know that weakness is weakness. There's nothing good about being weak. You shouldn't aspire to be weak. You should always aspire to be strong. And there's nothing toxic about that. And when I say strong, I'm not talking that you need to be Arnold Schwarzenegger or I don't know what. I'm talking strong in terms of you stand your ground, you have values, you have disciplined, responsibility. You take it seriously. You know to differentiate between good and evil. When evil comes to your door, you know to stop it. But in the West, we became so ashamed of being strong. And anyone who shows some signs of strength of character, strength of body, is many times shamed by all this woke, meek, weak kind of progressive people. And that's exactly what he talked about. When you have that, this culture is just ready for the taken. Ready for the taken. Other strong men will come and take your country from you.
That's it. And I mean, and what's amazing to me is that when I was speaking to that German journalist, he was surprised when I said these things to him. He was just like, I'm like, you do understand that we totally discount you, that you are not relevant anymore, that we see you as totally mentally lost. And he's like, yeah. And I don't know, there was like a surprise in his tone. You know, this is a personal, Mansour, this is a personal assessment that I've had about humanity. It's one thing to have bad traits. We all have bad traits. We all want to eat the cookie that we're not supposed to eat, or smoke that cigarette, or steal that money, or we all have the traits. We all deal with it. The difference is haughtiness or humility. When you have humility, you're like, listen, I have a problem. I'm a little bit of a klepto. I want to steal things. I have to overcome it. I have a problem. I'm a little bit lazy. I watch too much TV. I've got a problem. I open up the freezer. I eat too much ice cream. I have a problem. But then you can be healthy if you have humility. If you have humility, you can deal with your problem. The problem is when you have a bad trait and you couple that with haughtiness, when you're like, no, I am the moral authority. I am better than you. I know better. I'm smarter. I'm the smartest person in the room. I am a moral gift to you. When you have that coupled, I'm virtuous, and therefore I will do virtue signaling. When you have that coupled with a bad trait or bad policy, it's very hard to get out of it. That's where the Europeans have a problem. The problem is a deep haughtiness. And they just the French have it, and the British have it, and the Germans have it, and the Swiss have it, and that haughtiness doesn't let you be like, hey, we got to reverse direction. We're losing ourselves here. What the heck is going on with us? We're losing ourselves.
It's kind of, when you're saying that, it's kind of surprising me all the time how simple are humans. We like to think that we're very, complicated and sophisticated, but I think many times pride and just not willing to admit that you are wrong is just way more important than the truth to many people. And I see that a lot here in Europe. They just don't want to admit that they had it wrong all this time. They just don't want to admit that everyone that they mocked, they laughed at Donald Trump, and they laughed at Israel, and they laughed at, all these healthy masculinity that was going around, and mocked it. And now they have to admit that it was wrong, and they rather see the world burn sometimes rather than admit that their theology, call it, political views, was just wrong. And it just surprised me all the time, because a lot of these people that I know are just intelligent people.
Oh yeah, they're plenty intelligent,
like professors in university. And
well, sometimes that's a problem. You're intelligent. You can't accept that. Also comes with it a lot of haughtiness. That's exactly it. You could be plenty intelligent, but if you have that haughtiness, you just can't fix the problem. You just can't fix it.
And it's also like, how do you measure human intelligence? Like, we see it as humans. So let's say you have 80 IQ, you have 90 IQ, you have 100. So we see like we have 20 more IQs than him. But let's say an alien comes out that you have like 7,000 IQ. For him, we're as stupid. That human, that it's like seeing cows. Like, okay, they're all cows. This cow is a little bit faster, but they're all cows. So for us as humans, we measure our intelligence sometimes just by titles. Like, okay, he's a professor, he's very smart, or he did this, or he have a lot of money. But technically, looking at the way that life, I've seen taxi drivers that were way smarter than professor at university. I've seen truck drivers that have way much more wisdom. I've seen simple mothers that didn't finish school and just stayed at home to raise their children way, way smarter than, people that have, millions of dollars and traveling the world as businessmen and I don't know what. So intelligence is not necessarily making you immune to this self-destructive, prideful sin where you just don't want to admit the truth. And just like I said, you'd rather see the world burn down than admit that you were wrong. And that's very dangerous, and that's very selfish also, because, you've been handed a very good life. Like our generation, my generation and yours, were handed a very good deck. We got a world after World War II. We got a world where we saw technology and science and internet and chat GBT and people reaching the moon and I don't know what. Like, we had a very good life and countries with no borders. And Europe was beautiful economy, global economy. Being able to travel, the fact that I was able to go to Japan as a Druze from Israel is insane in my eyes. Back in the days, if my ancestors would see a Japanese, they should run for their life. That was an invasion. They came to kill them. Like, nothing good came out of, there was Mongolians that came to kill you. So now there's tourism. Like, we're living in a very good time to live with a lot of freedom. And then what do we do with it? We welcome in the same people that fought to take that freedom from us, and we managed to defeat them and stop them. We welcome them in, and we start defending them while they're taking the freedom from under our legs. They're trying to rob us from our freedom. It's the same empire that was trying to do that before, only thanks to very brave and strong Christian knights who went and fought them and defeated them and pushed them away from Europe. We have the Western civilization that we live in today. Now, these people are inviting them right now to come and destroy our life. And we're going to end up giving our children I already see it. We are already giving our children a worse world than we had. Like, absolutely. I look at my childhood and the childhood that my kid will have. He needs to hide his identity as a Druze, as an Israeli. Like, he's screwed from both sides now. He can't say he's an Israeli. He can't say he's Druze.
Yeah. And you think that Arabic speaking would have been an advantage, but you know what, Mansour, I agree with you on the face of it that it could very well be that our children will inherit a worse world, but there's also opportunities here. There's opportunities, and I want to believe that at least from the civilization that I'm representing, that there is an awakening. I think that there will be a betterment. First thing, there are many Druze who are safe here in Israel. Second thing is that I think that Israel will have an awakening. It's being forced. I could see the hand of God is forcing Israel to have an awakening. And I also, you're in Europe right now. I could tell you, maybe you haven't been here in a while. Maybe I could tell you that inside the country, there's tremendous hope, energy, cafes, life. Women are pregnant. Buildings are going up. It's not down inside. Sometimes the state of Israel is a little bit more like Noah's Ark. It's closed, and inside the animals are there, but we're surviving. And I know that we're going to get through this period. I believe that at the end of this thing is a light, that we're going to overcome it. I think that, yes, you're right. Europe is pretty much lost, and they're haughty and they're pathetic and they're becoming jihadists. But I think at the same time, that's not going to lead to any real growth. And there are countries that want growth. There are countries that want a future. And I want to believe, though, I'm fighting just like you're fighting for a better inheritance for our children, for a better life for our children. In this case, in our case, we have to be bigger. Israel's got to be bigger. It's got to want to be bigger in Gaza, in Lebanon and Syria, and to help the decent peoples of those, what I have a name for that. I call it Liberation Nation, right? That's the brand. Liberation.
I think the first step, if we go back to the Druze in the mountain, is to help create a humanitarian corridor that can reach them. Like I said, they've been.
Tell me more. What do you give me technically what you mean?
So the Druze are on a siege right now, and no one can reach them. They can't go out. I have my cousin there, who's a man my age, a father for 3. He got shot in his leg while he was defending his home, and he fainted, woke up in the hospital, and now after a few weeks, they're about to amputate his leg because no ambulance is able to reach that mountain with simple screws and a kit to make surgery, because they went and burned and bombed their hospitals. So if you're a father for 3 in Syria and you lose your leg, that's a death sentence. There's no social insurance. There's no medical care. Now you become a beggar. You walk in the streets. You can't work. You depend on other people's mercy. You can't defend yourself. You become a weaker person. And that's one case. There's people who die there because they don't have insulin, because they don't have the medication that they had. They're really starving and dying. And this can be solved immediately if Israel will go and open a humanitarian corridor to them. immediately.
From where to where? From the Golan
From
Heights?
Majd al-Shams, northern part of Israel, through the southern part of Syria by the border with Jordan, all the way to Sweda, the mountain, because Sweda is in the bottom of Syria, and they have a border with Jordan. Surprise, surprise, Jordan doesn't want to open.
That's why that's what I wanted to. That's exactly why I was asking you technically what you meant by that, because of that. Because Sweda is not exactly bordering Israel. If it was,
no, there's several million Bedouins between them and Israel in the Dara kind of desert. And these are the Bedouins that are affiliated with ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and they came and attacked them again and again and again. Now, that's the Bedouins that Israel is, by the way, doing raids on them constantly because they're taking away their weapons because these guys are just terrorists.
Right.
So if Israel helps the Druze receive a humanitarian corridor, let's stop talking. Europe is not going to do anything. America is kind of a bit far, and it's most likely what America needs to do is just give Israel the green light. That's what I think. So if they help them with the humanitarian corridor, we managed to save that mountain, and we gave them the blood vessel to stay alive, literally. So I think that's one of the first things that I hope and I pray that Israel will do. It's something that is very feasible for Israel to do. They have no natural predators in this region that can come and challenge them. They can just go and do it. And then that
corridor would have to go through the Bedouin desert area and through North Jordan.
Through the Bedouin desert. And I can offer a solution. I can offer a solution. Air Force from Israel. Don't risk Israeli soldiers. Let the Druze protect that route. Give them weapons. Give them some training. Let them stand and protect their ground. They will gladly do that. They will gladly protect their lands and their family. They're seeing their children starving. You know what happened to a city under siege? Soon enough, they'll start eating each other alive. The best people. You start seeing a little bit of someone reach and get some food, and you think of your children, and you want the food, and you love him, but then you see your child is starving. That's a very bad place to put someone in. And they're reaching that point right now, and they're begging, Israel, come and take us. The world, come and save us. So if Israel opened that humanitarian corridor, give them air support, let them go and guard it. They will come back and forth between the border of Israel. They will get medicine. They will get supplies. They will flourish. They will flourish. And you mentioned that Israel needs to change a little bit the way they think. Israel should start behaving like America. Start strengthening your allies. Start taking care of your allies, because it's in your interest that your allies are strong. The world is a very dark place. Darkness is trying to take any place that have light. Now, don't try to bring light to all kind of dark places. Let's keep that from stage 2. Try to maintain the candles of light that are in this middle of this darkness, because these are your friends. These are your allies. Don't let it be quenched. And right now in Syria, there is little beacons of light there of allies of Israel, allies of the West, allies of the Christian world, of America, of Europe, that are about to be exterminated by the darkness. And if we don't step in, first of all, it's not a good thing to do. I think Israel is called to be a light to the nations. And I live in Israel. I've seen it. I've seen the best times of Israel is when Israel is being a light to the nations. The best time that I've seen my Israel is when Israel had running, flowing water, when we were doing so good that we're blessing others. So in that case, I think it's going to be a blessing that will come back to Israel as well. Bless your neighbors, bless your allies, and the blessing is going to come back to you. And through that, you will make a better future for the Middle East, but not by saying, you know what, let's see what happens with them. They die. You're next. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I must agree with you. What is this? Somebody just wrote to me. Yishai, please ask Mansour if there will be a shishi Druzi tomorrow. What does that mean?
Absolutely. Every Friday, me and Khalifa from Mir the Khalifa in the Rebellion of the Caliphs, he's an Israeli Druze, a shepherd, by the way, a really cool dude. We have a shishi Druzi where we talk in Hebrew. And we discuss in Hebrew.
You're so lucky. You could do it. You could do your show in Hebrew, in English, in Arabic.
Yeah. I've been running like 3 platforms.
Amazing.
Unknowingly, just jumping from one to another. Sometimes when he sends me a message, hey, we're going to talk tomorrow, I ask him which language, because I mean it. Like, is it going to be, because I want to make a thumbnail. Is it going to be Arabic, Hebrew, and English? Just let me know. So yeah, we're having it every Friday, Shishi Druzi. Absolutely. It's a must. We never break it.
Very good. Mansour Ashkar is a influencer for the Druze community, has been an officer in the Israeli army. is currently in Europe, but is fighting the fight to get the consciousness of what's happening out there clarity. I love what you talked about, the humanitarian corridor. Here on my show, we love, as we say in Hebrew, tachlis, brass tacks, real stuff that can help. I think that right now, you guys on the Druze area level have to lobby also the Trump administration. I would lobby here in Israel. I'll lobby for you. I'll go next. Well, the Knesset is out of session right now, but I will lobby right now. You tell me the talking points. I'll go lobby myself right now. I have friends. I have a lobbyist who's working on the biblical highway. I hired a lobbyist. Great. It's awesome.
Wow.
It actually works. You need to super lobby in Israel because it's such a bureaucratic country that you need to lobby just to get anything going. And we have Knesset, we have Druze Knesset members. They've got a lobby. I hope you're in touch with them. And they've got a lobby as well right now. And we got to get this stuff going. And there should not be one more Druze life lost. And the jihad's got to be pushed back, and Israel's got to think big. And that's the calling of our time. Mansour Ashkar, people can check out your various languages and your social media and YouTube. We want to thank you so much for being with us. Here is Yo just put up Mansour on YouTube, which is Mr. Sahbak.
Yeah.
Sahbak, which means like buddy, your friend in Hebrew,
Yeah.
Mr. Sahbak.
It's when I opened my YouTube for the first time, like 15 years ago, and I forgot that I opened it. I just wanted to listen to a Metallica song or something.
Right.
And I called it Mr. Sahbak and forgot I have it.
That's right. That's right. Very good. God bless you. Yo is asking, is there a traditional Druze language that is different? No, right? Druze speak Arabic. Yeah, Druze speak Arabic like regular Arabic, but they don't like to be called Arabs. Most of them.
It's happening. You know what? Before we finish this, that's a very important thing to mention. And you start seeing it more and more now. A lot of minorities in the Middle East, I adapted the Arab nationalism and the Arab identity because they had to survive.
Right.
They had to pretend to be Muslims, and they had to, adapt the Arab traditions because they were conquered by the Arab and the Muslim empire. And many of the Muslims that you see today, or the Arabs that you see today, were not necessarily Arabs before. They were other religions. They were just either conquered, killed, and converted, or through a generation, 2, 3. For example, Druze in Jordan pretend to be Muslims. They pray the prayers like Muslims. They read the Quran like Muslims. So 1, 2, 3, because they have to survive. So, because if they say they're Druze, they're kuffar. So 1, 2,
and Jewish people have had those periods as well, right? Where we lived under Islam. The Rambam, the Maimonides told us, okay, you have to sometimes hide and act as Muslims in order to survive.
They changed their family names. Yeah, a good family friend of mine in Israel, they're from Holland. Their last name is Bueno de Muscat. And I asked her, they're very Zionist family. They made Aliyah. I asked them, what is Bueno de Muscat? And she told me it means a good mosque. And I said, how come a Jew have a good mosque as a last name? She said, well, we had to hide our identity and pretend to be Muslims. So a lot of the Druze now are coming and saying, we're not Muslims, we're not Arabs, we're Druze. Only we had to hide that identity and adapt these ways. Now, with that said, the Druze are coming from the Arab world. They have the Arab tradition, the Arab food, the Arab language, and etc. But they don't see themselves as Muslims, and many of them don't like to be called Arabs. I don't mind because, we're from the Middle East, and most of us in the Middle East are Arabs, considered today. But if you go down, by the genetic researchers, you'll find that you came from different branches or I don't know what. But yes, many Druze today, especially after what is happening, are trying to detach themselves from the Arab identity and image because they're seeing that there's a lot of bad connotations that is happening there shamefully. And it's not a good nickname to have today in Arab after seeing what the Arabs are doing around the world.
And what they're doing to the Druze themselves.
Yeah.
That's right. That's definitely right. There are Arabs who want a better life also. There are Arabs that want a better life also. But they, even the Saudis want a better life and they're anti-jihad. But when it comes to Israel, their hate comes out. And their statements, even recently, I'm just like, are you serious? You're really going to make anti-Israel statements, pro-Gaza statements? Like, you're really going to back Hamas right now? These people that are your enemies, that are allied with Iran and Qatar, who hate you and you hate them? Like snap out of it. Israel's here to stay. It's your cousins. We're from this region. It's in your Quran. You're just going to have to accept it. And you're just going to have to understand that Israel is your opportunity for a better region. And if you try to crush the Jews anymore, well, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yishai, Israel is exposing the Muslim world in a way that was never exposed before. And many of them, as much as they pretend to be different stuff, Israel exposed the real agenda that they have, which they managed to fool the Americans and everyone else. They're here for the land. Islam was from the beginning a conquest religion that was aimed to conquer as much land as they can and convert all the people in that land. So Saudi Arabians, every day of the week, they hate Palestinians. They hate the Muslim Brotherhood. They're all against it. But then suddenly Donald Trump want to buy Gaza. And there's like, no. We hate Israel. Israel is a problem. Israel is a problem. Give them a state. Why is that? You're kind of you're calling a bluff, and they fall for it because they're trying to trick everyone to think that they're on the Western side. But then when it comes to the real agenda, they want land. And the worst thing that can happen to Islam is that they lose land. And for them, if they lose Gaza and Gaza stop being Dar al-Islam, it becomes Dar al-Harb. If they lose Syria, so they worry more about losing land than anything else. And when you push them with the back into the wall, they will just show you their real face. No. We hate Israel. We don't want Israel to have their land. We want Israel out of their land. We don't want Israel to have parts of Syria. We don't want Israel to have parts of Gaza. Their real identity get exposed because everything else is a Hudna style, is a Taqiyya style. Let's have peace talks today, but tomorrow we might annihilate them. Let's have peace talks today, but let's see, tomorrow America might not still be here and we can do whatever we want. So let's postpone it. Maybe in our generation it won't happen, but it will happen in the future. And that is a very problematic place to be. Honestly, when you have neighbors that the only reason they're not destroying you is because they can't, that's not good neighbors.
Somebody's asking, Holstrand asks, is that also true about the UAE, would you say?
So here's the thing that I feel about the UAE and Saudi Arabia, more the UAE. UAE seems to be the hope that I'm seeing right now for the future of Islam. Because I look at the UAE, and I've never been there, but I've talked to many Jewish friends of mine, and including my sister and her husband, and Drew's friends. They go there and say, man, listen, it's safer than most places, safer than the US and Europe.
But let's talk about that safety. There was a rabbi that was murdered there.
That's true.
Wait.
Look how they reacted.
That's what I was going to say.
Exactly.
Look how they reacted. 2 guys, I think they caught 2 or 3 guys there. They executed them without a word, without even talking about it. No big trial, no big discussion, no big thing about rights, not rights, all that. They got rid of them. They were like, this is what happens around here. You mess with with the people that we're protecting. It's not necessarily Jews. We're protecting people. You mess with them, we kill you. We get rid of you. We know exactly what you are. You have to understand what we are, and you're done. You finished.
Exactly. So here's the thing. The EU,
by the way, here in Israel, we don't even have a death penalty for mass murderers.
Insane.
And these guys were gone. These guys were gone.
So here's the thing about the EU that I feel. I feel like, let's call it for what it is. It is a Muslim country, and they have Sharia law.
Yeah.
UAE. They have, I always mix the letters. And they have Sharia law. But they are trying to take Islam, still being Islam, into a better future that is compatible with Western values. They're not saying we're going to change and become Christians or Jews. We're going to stay Muslims, but we're going to change what happened in the past. We're not going to be stuck in these days where we just, want to kill everyone that we consider as an infidel and want to destroy the world. We actually want to live and let live. And they're showing it pretty good by example so far. Now, I don't know what's going to happen 50 to 100 years from now, but if there's any hope that I see for the Muslim world, is take example from them. See how they treat minorities. One of the best testing stones to a good society, good culture, is how they treat minorities.
Right.
How they treat humans, how they treat animals. There's no animals' rights in Syria and these places.
It's funny you say that. You said something about. Did you say it was your uncle with the leg that was shot?
Yeah, my cousin.
Your cousin. You know that sociologists and archaeologists that study the past, the way that they know a society has become a healthy modern society that has what we understand as a value system
Mhm.
You know how they know? I learned this. It's an amazing thing.
By how they treated the handicapped when they found a dead person with crutches, or
Very close. That's right. Where they found broken femur bones that had been set. When a
Yeah.
society is like, "Oh, you have a broken leg, you're done. You just go and die now." That's not a modern human society and a developed human society. When a
They take
society is
care of
like,
their injured.
right, this guy's broken. Okay, we got to fix him. He's a human being. He's valuable. He's valuable to his kids and his family. We have to save him. Once archaeologists find those kind of bones that are set and healed, then they know that the society cares for the weak and for the injured and brings them back. And so, that is let's hope that your cousin survives and that his leg survives. Are you able to speak to him? Is there normal communications or what? Oh, you said that there's Starlink.
I talked to him in WhatsApp. It's just impossible to get him the medical equipment because they're executing ambulances. When an ambulance leaves the mountain, they stop it, and then if they see a man that have any injuries that look like they're bullet wounds, I don't know why, they execute him in the entire ambulance basically and steal everything. So all of the people in Sweden have bullet wounds. There's literally, every injury there is almost related to an IED or a sniper shot. So it's impossible to get ambulances in with medical supplies, impossible to go out. Meanwhile, Israel is sending tons of aid trucks into Gaza to feed Hamas. And I say, stop it.
Well,
don't send anything.
I agree with you. They shouldn't be sending, but let's just let's be technical about it. Right now, the American system seems to be giving food to the refugees. I can hear the other side that says many more Gazans are actually jihadists. It's true that the UN food goes right directly to Hamas, and I agree with you fully that if there is a starvation, there's a lack of food right now in Sweden. Israel should at least fly over the stuff minimally, if not what you're talking about, which is this corridor.
They're doing. Israel is sending here and there, helicopters and dropping, but it's just not enough. There's about 600,000 Druze in Syria, and the majority of them are in that mountain. So even if you drop shipments here and there, it just disappears really fast because the need is so big. So it's just like, raindrops in the desert. You need to really open a humanitarian corridor, do something serious that will help save them.
Okay, so now you said a second thing, which I like very much. Your point is, and this is like a lobby type point, which is, look, you're sending all this food out to these guys. Here's our allies. The Gazans have proven to be generally enemies of Israel. Here's the Druze. Let's send them the stuff. Let's get that corridor open. Let's get that.
Druze are waving Israeli flags in Syria. This is unheard of.
Right.
People,
and that is also a change. It's important for listeners to understand that under the Syrian regime, a lot of the Druze identified as Syrians, you can say, and probably justifiably, that they were under that regime and they had to show allegiance to that regime, which was anti-Israel. But the bottom line, there is a big change happening right now.
Yeah. And you know what? Even if you ask them then in closed doors, small conversation, what do you think about the Jews? Even the ones that were the most ignorant and didn't know anything and barely heard, they would tell you, we have no problem with them. They're our cousins. That's what they said. That's the one that barely knew anything, just heard pure propaganda. The ones that talked a little bit more to Israelis, they knew it was a lie. They just knew that they can't say it. I have another relative of mine who was imprisoned in Syria for about 1.5 years or 2 years, I think, because he was found that he had a phone call with his relatives in Israel. And being in a jail in Syria, the Bashar Assad regime fell down, so he was able to go out, but people don't survive.
Oh, he's one of the people that got out when the prison.
Yeah, but just for a phone call.
Right.
So that's a reality of how oppressed they were there. And of course, they're not going to come and say, we love you, Israel. That's going to be a death sentence for him and his entire family. But now, first of all, their back is to the wall. And they realize there's literally no future for them there. And they're not afraid anymore. They said, we're going to openly say it. Israel, come and save us. We are your allies. We love you, Israel. Thank you, Israel. People are wearing Israeli flags in Sweden.
Right. And by the way, you don't hear that in the European news, right? Like the narrative that here's a minority that's like, no, Israel is actually a force of stabilization and prosperity around here. You
This
don't
is
hear
how
that.
fake. This is how fake the European Western news. You'll see a baby that have some kind of genetical disease. His mother is fat, his brother is fat in the background, but he's starving. They'll put the picture. All news outlets will come and say Israel is starving the Gaza. Now it's a lie. It's a blunt lie. And they were all saying that song. Then you see minorities in
and that kid, and don't forget that kid's in Italy getting treatment because Israel sent them out to get some kind of genetic treatments.
Yeah, exactly. Now, and then you'll see the real starvation happening in Sweden for a real minority, by the way, from under Islam. And they're going and saying, thank you, Israel. Please come and save us. You saved us. We want to be part of you. Radio silence. Why? Why not put that story? That's a very interesting story. Why not put it out? Why are you hiding it? Because literally, it's hiding that story. It's not like that story is not available. You have it on social media. You have people posting it. It's there. So a journalist right now who's sitting and thinking, let's see which kind of interesting story I can give my people. CNN, Fox, all these guys. What can I give my people? Oh, that story is going to make Israel look good. No, we can't show that story. That story is going to make the Muslims look bad. No, we can't show that story. That story is going to make Israel look very bad. It's going to make the Muslims look like victims because that is their card. Let's put that story. So what did that tell you? That undoubtedly, Western media have been bought by communist and jihadist money. Undoubtedly. I think there's you don't need any more proof. Every day you see that.
You should have seen this New York Times that I opened up. New York Times, I couldn't believe it. Page after page of starving Gazans. Israel's bad. I couldn't believe it.
Nothing about the Jews in Syria. No.
Nothing about the Jews in Syria. Nothing about airdrops in Gaza. Nothing. Just no real news. Just a propaganda anti-Israel piece. Okay, and then, but you know what? But I tell you, at the end, these people become irrelevant. Anti-Semitism in the end destroys the whole society. Jihadism in the end destroys the whole society. Irrelevance makes you irrelevant at the end. It shrinks you. All these people that say America first, we got to get out of international issues. I say to them, what is it that you want? You basically want to shrink America. What are you so proud of yourself? All you are is a self-shrinker. What do you want? What do you? Oh, look at me. I'm protecting America. No, you're not. You're shrinking yourself. And
I tell you what, though, there's laws of physics that always work, and the same thing, laws of psychology. I feel like people with brain now and conscience and real spirit of freedom in them are looking for authentic podcasts like mine, like yours, and like others, where they can come and actually hear the truth and not go and be fed propaganda with a spoon, with a shovel.
As long as our host, as long as our mechanical technical host still allows it, right?
Yes,
it still depends on that.
Yeah.
Right.
We still depend on that. They can always pull the plug on us
and
silence the truth from their platform. But I think in general, the moment that you start silencing the truth, it will turn back at you. When you start adopting darkness as your ally, you're going to become a very dark person.
That's right.
And I feel like this is what's going to happen a lot of times with this, CNN and all these outlets. They're going to have only the garbage of humanity listening to them. Only very bad people and propaganda and fools listening to them. And the free thinkers, the people that actually have a brain in their head and want to actually see the truth. I'm not saying that I'm speaking only the truth and my opinion is the only right opinion in the world, but I can tell you for sure, I'm not spitting propaganda for jihadism or communism. I might be wrong about some things that I say. You might be wrong, but we're doing our best to actually give a proper picture from where we come from. And I think people see that.
There's Judaism and the Jewish belief, and there's God, but there's also what you're talking about right now, which is liberty and freedom.
I love liberty, man.
I have to tell you, it took me. I grew up in America from the age of 8 and until 17, and then I was in Israel. But and I went to American law school, and it took me many years still to understand the greatness of that concept of liberty.
Yeah.
It took me even more time, even though I heard it and I read it, and in America, when I was growing up, it was on the back of cereal boxes, how a bill becomes a law and all these things. But it took me a long time to understand what it means to have real freedom, and to understand that that's also a deep Jewish value, which I also didn't always understand, that liberty, that's what. Let me tell you a little story, okay? Maybe we'll finish up with this. I have a little story to tell you. One time I had an enemy of yours and mine, Christiana Manpour. Do you know who she is from CNN and ABC? She's a very famous journalist, and she's a jihad apologist, Christiana Manpour.
Christiana Manpour?
Christiana Manpour, yeah. She's famous she's a little bit on the older side now, but she was very famous in our time. I think she's still doing it. In any case, so Christiana Manpour was at my house on the Mount of Olives, and she looked at the flag of Israel. So she says to me, "What does this flag really represent? Does the two lines represent from the river to the sea?" Yeah, that's the lady. Sure, she's famous.
Okay.
She says to me, "Does it mean from the river to the sea? And is that what you guys want to control, a greater Israel?" So I said to her, maybe. But what I think it really represents is the splitting of the Red Sea, where the Jewish people were leaving slavery and coming into the promised land. We were breaking out of slavery and coming into liberation. And that's what the flag represents. The two blue lines represent the splitting of the Red Sea, and the Star of David represents the Jewish people walking in between that sea from slavery into liberation and freedom. She's like, next question.
That they don't like these kind of answers.
No, they don't like it. But the point is that I do think that there's a moment here. The moment is for Liberation Nation, and I really do pray for the but more than pray, we have to do and act to protect the Druze and the other minorities that you mentioned as well that need to be protected. And for Israel, this is an opportunity to be bigger and stronger, and therefore bring a better outcome for the peoples of this region and the children of this region. There can be prosperity. October 7th can be an opportunity. There can be prosperity around the corner. There can be a liberated Druze state. There can be a liberated Kurdish state. There can be a liberated people in an Abrahamic region. That can happen, and this time can bring it. We just have to keep pushing, and I know that you're doing an amazing job, and everybody here on the comments just love to hear from you and your authenticity, and I want to wish you really continued success and hope to have you on again soon. Mansour Ashkar, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, sir.
God bless you. All right, folks, that was Mansour Ashkar. He is a really, and he does it. Not only does he do it in English, he does it in Hebrew and in Arabic. I got to take a lesson from him and maybe start doing more video in Hebrew and in Russian, which is the other language that I speak. All right, folks. Yes, Mansour, thank you, folks say. And I want to remind you that we're broadcasting live from Judea, and you're a part of it wherever you are. I want to remind you that you can super chat. Super chat. Super chat means that you give a little bit of a donation to get your comment read or to support the show. And there are other means to support our show. When you support our show, you are supporting a strong Israel and truth coming out and liberty. And you are supporting God's vision in this world. And so I want to ask you to take a second and to like, subscribe, comment. You've been doing great commenting. Like, subscribe, comment, become a member, and even check out our YouTube Superstore. It's not even a store anymore. It's a Superstore, which you can find on YouTube. And also you can support us in other ways, including buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. It's a great way to support the show and to support the team that supports the show and to support God's vision, which we are trying to support. There's a ton of support that's happening here, and therefore I'm asking you to support. Moreover, if you could buymeacoffee.com/Yishai for supporting this show. You could also support our projects at fightforisrael.org, fightforisrael.org. That's a great way to fight for Israel and to support. So the other thing I want you to support is get ready for Rosh Hashanah. It's 3.5 weeks away. And I'm urging all Jews and all non-Jews, lovers of God, lovers of Israel, to start preparing for Rosh Hashanah and to ask God for forgiveness. Sometimes my Christian friends say to me, how do we get what do they call it? It's a word that we don't use it the way that they use it, but how do we get redemption, salvation? I say to them, the way that we Jews understand salvation is through repentance. Repent. You want to be saved? We don't use that word in the same way in Judaism. It's just a little bit of a, it's not like that exactly. You want to be following God's way. You want to be part of the children of life, children of light. You want to be part of God's plan. Well, you got to clean off and clean yourself and accept the day of judgment. And I tell you honestly that I myself personally am working on it. This is not from here out. This is from here in. I'm listening. Sometimes, when you're in broadcasting, you're like, people say from your mouth to God's ears. And I like to say from his mouth to our ears. That would be very good. But sometimes, like in this case, it's from my mouth to my ear. Listen to what we're saying. We believe in teshuvah, in repentance. It's time to repent. It's time to get ready for Rosh Hashanah. And I am urging my friends at the international Torah community, the Abrahamics. Abrahamics is anybody who can identify themselves as Abrahamic. I want to be in the path of Abraham, what I call the international Torah community. It's time to start repenting inside, cleaning ourselves, and also asking ourselves, in my life, am I doing what God wants me to do? Is my life and even my day and my hour directed and dedicated to the cause of doing God's will? And when you start thinking like that, then you start doing teshuvah. What do I mean by teshuvah? What do I mean by repentance? I'll give you just a short example. When you say to yourself, this week, I'm going to dedicate myself to living a life where I'm going to do what God wants, you're going to overcome a lot of base desires, angers, unnecessary frictions, and you're going to channel your day and your energies to service of God. That's the month of Elul. We swing a few bats at once to get ready to go up to the plate and to swing for the fences of redemption, of liberation, of personal achievement, of getting close to God, of doing teshuvah, of doing repentance, of being better God servants, better Jews, better lovers of Israel. And that is the month of, and I'm telling you again, this is Rosh Hashanah is not a Jewish holiday. The Jews are bringing it to you because you may have not heard about it. We understand the Bible in ways that you may have not understood yet. But I'm telling you that Rosh Hashanah is a holiday for the nations and the Jewish nation amongst them. And so I want us all to channel that. I want us to concentrate on the Torah portion, which is a very complex Torah portion this week called Shoftim, which is about judges to establish in our lands, which is a commandment also for the Gentiles. We must bring justice and light into the world, and this is the month of repentance to do it. And I am adjuring all of you to feel those feelings and not to say, oh, Rosh Hashanah is the high holidays. What do we eat? The Jews are having a holiday. What do they do? No, it's a personal holiday. Start looking into it. Go to Chabad.org and Aish.com and other sites to start learning about, and I'll start teaching more about it in the next few weeks. But let's get to it, and I want to bless you wherever you are. Don't forget to support us, because when you support us, you're supporting Israel. Gosh, is there anything bigger than that? Supporting Israel. I support Israel. Whoa. That's like the greatest thing in the world. That means you're supporting God's vision in this world. I support jihad. Not good. No. Supporting jihad means you support repression, hate, oppression. And when you support a kind of quiet pacifism, or what's the word I'm looking for, when you kind of when you don't do anything, and when you kind of stay quiet, apathy, that is actually supporting the bad guys. If you're watching this channel, this is the unapathetic. This is and not pathetic or apathetic. This is the action channel. This is the let's get it done channel. And I want you to know that my life is not all TV. This, what I do here, YouTube, it's very important. And a lot of people tell me it makes a difference in their life. And I'm thankful for that opportunity. I am thankful to Hashem that he's given me this opportunity, and to my team and to the technology. I am thankful. But I just want you to know that that's not what it's all about. It's all about action, settling this land, building it, making this a society. Today, I was at an event in my town welcoming the new immigrants. Yes, we have to take action. And with that, I also have to take the action of ending my live stream. I want to thank the team very much on the Yishai Fleischer TV team, and I want to thank all of you. We have more great stuff coming your way. We have the Lord has blessed us with a plethora of material and education, and also great colleagues that do great work out there. There's other great channels as well. I want to bless you to, as Gussie says, stay safe. I want to bless you guys to stay safe. And I want to say, the Zohar say thank you, and I say thank you right back to you. And I want to bless you, because I know that if you've been watching for the last 2 hours, that means you're trying to bless Israel. And I'm trying to bless you back. That's the deal. Those who bless Israel get a deal, which they get blessed back. And I know that if you let yourself, you'll know that God has entered your house today because you have spent the time of your day to bless Israel. God bless you wherever you are. Thank you for being part of it. More great stuff is on the way. Stay strong, stay connected, stay part of the story, stay blessed wherever you are. May Hashem be with you, and shalom.